War Report family, it's your boy Mike G here with B, Will, Caesar, and Ike Jones. This, gentleman, is our last game day of week of the year, going into our bowl game, right? So we're going to talk about the SEC bowl games today, as well as our bowl game and the playoff games that are coming. How we feel this week, gentlemen, about what we got coming up.
It's one of those things where you don't really know what to expect, just because there's so much uncertainty around the program right now. So just trying to figure out, sitting down, like when we get into the game and just trying to predict what we expect to see on the field. Like, I just don't know what we're gonna see because we don't know who's all gonna play. We don't know where their head is. We don't really know a coaching philosophy from anybody. It's just gonna be really interesting.
Right. Oh man,
yeah. And I figure, usually, even though it's a glorified exhibition, this really feels like an exhibition in every sense, because oftentimes programs use these games as a springboard to spring in the following year. You try to ride the momentum, but it really feels like no matter what happens, we're hitting the reset button anyway. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to get your hopes up. You kind of hope that the coaching staff and the players go out with a bang, and just leave it all on the field, but you just never know with these games.
Right. Yeah, that's the same way I feel. Like we're gonna have a game. We're gonna be missing some guys, but this doesn't count against the old coach's record or the new coach's record. The guys coaching the game probably don't have a job after the game.
Right.
Man,
it's everything.
That's the wildest part of all of this is like we don't even know who on this staff is still going to be here after this game is over with.
Right. Yeah. I think that's the thing that stands out to me that makes this week feel kind of weird is that these guys are going to go out and they're going to coach their hearts out, and maybe some of them will be retained and some of them won't. We've had players opting out of bowl games. We've got players in COVID protocol.
Think about the seniors that are playing in this game, right? This is probably the most awkward game they're ever going to play in their life, because it's going to be their last game at Auburn. It's going to be probably the last game for some of the coaches they came in with at Auburn. And then they're going to be leaving behind this program that is in whatever, like they don't even know what the state of it's going to be after they leave. Some of these guys, it might be their last organized football game ever. Right. This is just crazy.
Yeah. Right. I think if you're a player and you're playing in this game, and you've got teammates who are opting out. There were a lot of teammates that were very vocal about their displeasure of how the coaching search was handled. I'm wondering what the mood of this team is going into this game with all the distractions that were happening. You've got, a new head coach. He's going to be using this to evaluate a lot of the guys who are left, right? Who he expects to return. We've had recruits who have jumped ship. And it feels to me like I just want to get through this to the other side so that we can settle things down and get headed whatever direction Coach Brian Harsin has for us. Right. So now we're not the only game. There are some other games coming up here. So I want to dive into the games that are happening. Not on our list.
The answer to this, Corey. We will find out soon if Kevin Steele's going to be the DC moving forward.
TBD.
We'll talk about that. Probably, yeah.
TBD. There is one game that's not on our list, but is going on right now. Florida, Oklahoma. I picked Florida in this game. They're not doing hot right now. Right. I think you guys picked Oklahoma. Did you not?
Caesar and I did not pick Florida. We picked Oklahoma.
Okay.
I'm feeling good about that
Kyle
right
Trask
now.
has already thrown 3 interceptions in the first half of this game.
Yeah.
So when I saw that Kadarius Toney, Kyle Pitts, and Trevon Grimes all opted out, who were the top 3 receivers for Kyle Trask, I said, So
I didn't know Toney wasn't playing too. If I had seen that, I probably would have picked in the other direction. I knew Kyle Pitts had opted out of the game, but I thought Toney was going to play. Had I known that, I probably would have flipped in the other direction, just because
again,
the weapon. Florida's still got plenty of talent, but like it's just not the guys that have proven to make the plays all season. So
right,
and Oklahoma sneakily they lost those 2 games early, so everybody kind of forgot about them. But if you were watching the box scores every weekend, they slowly got better, and their defense got sneakily better. I don't want to say good, because good on the Big 12 scale is a little, but they did get better. And if LSU can make Florida look bad, then my guess is that without all their best players, Oklahoma could make Florida look bad too.
And again, it's two different types of Floridas. It's LSU Florida and it's Bama Florida. I had a strong feeling going into this bowl game where nothing was at stake. We was getting LSU Florida.
Right. Well, the games that are coming that we have this week, so I'm going to jump right in here. Tulsa versus
we'll get back to some of these comments
State.
In a little bit.
Definitely. We got Tulsa versus Mississippi State. In any normal season, we would not be talking about Mississippi State in a bowl game by any stretch of the imagination, but it's 2020, so here we are with a losing record team in a bowl game. How do we feel about this one? Does Mississippi State stand a chance in this one, gentlemen?
What's the name of this bowl again? Is this the participation trophy bowl?
I think this is a toilet bowl.
It's also 24. So honestly, I don't know a ton about Tulsa to be able to get like I'm gonna be like 100% honest. I didn't prep a whole lot for some of these picks. So I'm going to be shooting off of the cuff just based upon what I know from the team in the SEC in a lot of these.
Fair enough.
What I know for Mississippi State is their offense has been very up and down all season. Tulsa is ranked in the top 24. I'm going to pick Tulsa to win this game.
Brian.
All right. I'm going to pick Tulsa. I'm not going. I was told that I waffle a lot, but what I'm doing is usually walking y'all through my logic and my thought process.
We're letting you in on stuff that we talk about off the scenes. Like we were telling B Will that he waffles on some of his pick. You don't waffle a lot. It's just sometimes when it's clear you don't really want to make a pick, you kind of feel like you're hedging on the pick that you're about to make.
I mean,
I'm going to say he waffles a lot. As a matter of fact, you got a waffle iron sitting next to you.
If I matter on a pick, listen. I might talk about it for 5 minutes, but if I say, "All right, this is my pick," I don't change it unless this year we had.
I definitely am not saying that.
We didn't know everybody who was going to play really up until the day of sometimes, and that made it hard to pick sometimes. But I like to walk y'all through how I'm getting to my conclusion. And really, Tulsa lost 2 games this year, but the second game they lost was to Cincinnati, and it was only 3 points.
Right.
Not that Cincinnati is a world beater, because AAC good and SEC good.
But they're ranked number 8 right now.
I mean, rankings are completely subjective too, but how do they look on the field?
Ohio State's ranked number 3 in the country, so like rankings are definitely subjective.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah,
they played like what, 3 games this season in their number.
They played 2 games this season.
Anyway.
Tulsa, I say Tulsa.
Caesar, who you got?
I'm gonna go Tulsa because Tulsa actually has, for what they play in the conference, they do pretty well against the pass, and we know that's all Mississippi State is going to try to do. So I'm gonna go with Tulsa, being able to make life hard for Mississippi State, and I think they pull it out.
Yeah, I'm going to be the one that chooses Mississippi State here. These teams are statistically are both bad, right? I mean, their starting quarterback has 12 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. Mississippi Rodgers is 10 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. The receivers are about even.
Been the starter the whole season either, though. So
yeah, I mean, it's just when you're looking down on paper, flip a coin and which bad team is going to get one win better. I'm going to go with the SEC flavor here and pick Mississippi State in this one.
Not mad at it.
The next game is Kentucky and NC State. We are in an odd position of looking at a lot of unranked SEC teams in bowl games
with losing records.
Yep. So, we've got an ACC-SEC matchup here. How do we feel about the Wolfpack versus the Wildcats in this one? Brian.
All right. I didn't look up NC State's record, before. So I'm
8-3.
Right
8-3.
8-3.
I want to know who they lost to. They lost to UNC, a decent team. Miami, decent team.
Teams
and
with a pulse.
Virginia Tech, which is not a decent team. Oh man, you know what? UK's offense had looked so terrible for the majority of the season. I can't pick that offense for any game. Honestly, they were terrible. I'm going NC State.
Caesar, who you got?
I'm actually going to go the SEC route here because when I look at NC State defensively, they haven't really been stopping people for real.
Right.
That's fair.
And so I think, if anything, especially against teams that can run the football, teams have had success running the football. And we already know, I didn't realize Kentucky had fired its offensive coordinator, who was a former running backs coach at Auburn. Who's the guy, Mike? He was down there with Tuberville. Running backs Eddie Grant.
Eddie Grant, yeah.
Yeah, he got fired after the regular season had ended. So they're going to do what they always have done year round, and that's run the football, whether it be read option or what have you. And I think, again, this is Stoops. He's known for defense. I think they make it. I think it's a low scoring affair. And I think those are the types of games that make it easy for Kentucky to pull out a win. So I'm going with Kentucky.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to go Kentucky as well on this game. Auburn basketball just lost to Arkansas, by the way, which sucks.
Oh man, ruined my Wednesday.
Right.
I am going to go NC State here in this one. Kentucky is just one of those teams. It's hard to pick them with any conviction. They've looked okay at times. When we opened the season against them, I actually thought they might have a chance at a decent season, and then they had some inconsistency problems. Anytime you have to, fire a prominent assistant, you're not having a good season, right? So with Grant getting fired, I just feel like maybe NC State in this one, not with any conviction, but I'm just going to say I'm going to go NC State here. I think Kentucky has got some things they got to work out for certain going into the end of the season here, and they're in a position that a lot of teams are finding themselves at the end of the season. How can we just have some positivity here at the end to find something to build on going into spring practice? I feel like a lot of coaches are going to be using these games to evaluate players, right? Maybe get some guys on the field that have not seen a lot of time this year, right? Because you're not playing in front of massive crowds. This bowl schedule seems very kind of like it does. Everything feels like a consolation prizes at the end here, unless you're in the playoffs.
Is why so many players are opting out of games. They're just like, this doesn't mean anything. Like, why am I going to this game? So,
no fans are here. So yeah.
So the next game I want to talk about actually might be one of the more interesting games that we see this week. Ole Miss versus number 11 Indiana. Now, Indiana had a very thrilling win versus Penn State earlier this season. If you didn't see it, they went for 2 in like the third overtime, and the guy dove for the pylon, and it was a very controversial replay call.
He didn't get it.
Right?
He did not get that 2 point.
Oh, man, it was so close, and they called it good, and Indiana pulled out the win over Penn State, and Penn State's season spiraled after that. So Ole Miss has proven they can score points so far this year. They've scored points on everybody, including Bama. And now they didn't come close to winning that game, but they put up a notable amount. I think they put up more points on Bama than we did.
Yeah, we also held them to much lower points than Bama did too. So.
Yeah, but I mean, so depending on how you're looking at it, I mean, they've got an efficient offense. Who do we like in this one? Ike, I'm going to start with you on this one.
Indiana.
I think
Indiana's I think Indiana's defense is going to be a problem for Ole Miss. Getting points up, and Ole Miss can't really stop anybody. Indiana has not looked great offensively, but Ole Miss has looked terrible defensively. So I'm going to go Indiana in this one.
All right, Caesar, who you got?
And Indiana, and to Ike's point, that's been Ole Miss's problem. They have an offense that will beat people, but a defense that undermines anything you do offensively in most games.
And
with
that
offense,
the ball every now and then.
Right. So I mean, my thing is with that is I don't see them playing this team Indiana for 60 minutes and beating them. I think they make plays. I think they make it interesting, but I think their defense lets them down in the end. So I'm going to Indiana.
Brian, who you got?
I'm taking Ole Miss. I think if you give Kiffin 2 weeks to scheme, listen, man, neither one of his quarterbacks have been really good. Neither one of them is good, but they put up some points.
Right.
And they put up some points on some people who could see them coming. We're not talking about early when they scared Bama. We're talking Florida and not us, but for the rest of the season, they pretty much put up points. So I think they can do it. If Indiana still had their starting quarterback that really had them going early and scared the hell out of Ohio State, then I'd say Indiana, but they don't. So I'm going to go Ole Miss in the upset.
All right. I am going to go Ole Miss here. We're 15 minutes into this broadcast, and I find myself in the unusual position of already agreeing with Brian.
There we go.
But I'm going to go Ole Miss in this one. I think when you give Lane Kiffin time to prepare, he's proven he can score. I think he's going to be able to score enough points to keep them competitive in this one. And I think this might actually be one of the more entertaining bowl games that we actually see here because of offense. So I'm going Ole Miss
14.
Woo!
I just think Indiana's defense is actually legit. So
it is, and that's what worries me because the second half of their season they were pretty much holding people to
for sure
under. So yeah, that's concerning. But some of this goes out the window with a bowl game because people got time to read you. So
and by the way, I mean Ole Miss can feel the same as well, but. This is not an Indiana. This is an Indiana team who has something to prove and feel like they're excited to be where they are. And usually teams like that play very motivated. So that's something else that you can't. The stat sheet's not going to tell you. But that team usually plays really inspired and they play hard.
Minnesota did against us last year in the bowl game.
Something like that.
Coach, they weren't even inspired. Anyway.
You wouldn't even inspire me.
No, that was just
I think they felt like they had something to prove, man. PJ Fleck, he
came out
and he gives that chip to his team.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Yeah,
so moving forward here, we have got Brian's favorite team, coach and quarterback.
Yeah, man.
Versus number 13 UNC. Now,
trifecta.
Now, I'm go ahead and say this. In my book, the SEC coach of the Texas A&M got snubbed in multiple ways. I don't think that Notre Dame
we definitely are supposed to be having this conversation about Coach of the Year. B. Will said he wanted to have this conversation.
Yeah,
y'all want to talk about this right now, like while we're on the subject?
SEC
or do we
coach
want to
of the year.
have a whole separate conversation about this?
You know what? We don't have to burn a lot of time on it because I know we have 2 playoff games, right? But Texas A&M got a whole bag of snubs this year, and they belonged in this playoff. After what I saw happen to Notre Dame by the hands of Trevor Lawrence and Clemson, now you can argue whether or not. I don't think anybody's beaten Bama this year, really. I don't know if I see that. But if we're just talking about resumes, I don't think that Texas A&M's loss to Bama was
how many points was that by?
So now,
what was the final score of the Texas A&M Bama game?
Texas A&M versus Bama?
28? Did they lose by 28?
It was 52-24.
Okay, continue.
Okay, right.
I'll keep caping for this score.
Okay, all right. I mean,
hold on, wait a minute. Where's the cape? Well, I don't hear caping yet. But
I'm talking about Mike.
Okay.
Go ahead,
yeah.
Mike. It's coming out with the cape coming out. Go ahead.
So
okay.
I've been high on Texas A&M all season, so I'm gonna go first here. I'm going Texas A&M here. I think that Jimbo Fisher has done a phenomenal job with his team this year, all things considered. He has kept Kellen Mond in positions to make plays and limit turnovers. And I think if they can continue on that trend of limiting turnovers in this game, they are going to so stupid. I think if they can continue that trend of limiting turnovers and they don't have to put the game on his arm, they win by 10 points in this one. So I've got Texas A&M. Brian, Please tell me what you think here.
Yeah, let's hear it, B. Talk about Jimbo. Tell him
Let's
about the gun
go.
line, boss.
Good old Jimothy T. Fisher. Listen, I cannot tell you that Texas A&M is a bad team. I have already conceded this season that they are better than I thought they would be, than I wanted them to be.
I'll have to own that too, because I said they weren't a top 25 team at the top of the season. So
okay, fair enough. I appreciate the accountability.
That's all. Nothing lost by admitting that. Now, as far as their ranking and their position in the playoff or not in the playoff in this case, it really didn't matter outside of Alabama and Clemson who got in. Objectively,
that's a fair point.
Can we all agree that that's the 1-2 right there? If Ohio State pulls an upset against Clemson, we would be surprised.
Yeah, we'll know on Saturday whether that's a true statement or not.
We'll know on Saturday for sure. But I think the majority of people feel like, based on that, number one, Ohio State's history in the playoffs to this point, and number two, their performance since that Indiana game, that nobody was really sold on them. It's a Bama, Clemson national championship picture, and maybe somebody has a chance to sneak in. With that being said, I don't think Texas A&M had a claim on anything as the fourth slot or the first team to get beat down in the playoffs. Why? You beat Florida, who at the time we thought that was a phenomenal win until LSU beat them. They showed up very well against Bama. So we know that they had that potential if they were focused. Their defense has always been shaky.
Right.
I don't know. Florida had a very, very good run, and I would have picked Dan Mullen as the coach of the year before they lost to LSU, because the LSU loss told me I think they were looking past LSU for Bama. And I really felt that way once I saw how well they played against Bama. I'm like, this is what you've been doing with your last 2 weeks right here.
Right.
And I mean, hey, to be fair, it would have been a big splash if you pulled that off, but they didn't. So if you're gonna skip a game, you damn sure better win the next game that you've been planning for. Then he did not. Because of that, I think Dan Mullen loses a spot. Now, Texas A&M's best win was against Florida. I don't know how good. I know Florida's good, but they're not great. So that win to me does not make up for getting housed by Bama. And 28 points is a housing. I don't know what other claim they have to
Notre. So Notre Dame getting housed by Clemson just a couple of weeks before, and they still get in. Like, so you're willing to talk about Texas A&M getting
Notre Dame
housed.
Deserved it. Notre Dame.
But I'm just saying, like, you're talking about Texas A&M not being worthy of that spot, as if Notre Dame is.
If we just got to put a team in, right? I'm just saying. Like what I saw on the field. Listen, Texas A&M 20. I mean, the score lies a little bit because Texas A&M was competitive in that game for at least 2 quarters.
So was Ole Miss.
Notre Dame got beat from the gun. It was not close. It was not even a. It was not a. And they scored a garbage time touchdown in the fourth quarter, but they really should have got beat by almost 35. Right, like I mean, I forgot what the final score of that game was, and we'll get to it when we get there. But they got completely dominated. They could do nothing.
34-10, I think, was a score.
Yeah, like I mean,
they were never in it.
Touchdown was a garbage touchdown. So it was really a 34-3 game.
Yeah, right, for sure.
Sure.
So I agree with you that they don't deserve it either. I'm all for putting some of the small conference schools that were undefeated in. Why? Because they're gonna get beat down too. So if we just who gonna get beat down? Let the AAC become of that too. I don't care. Why? Notre Dame has been dominating the get beat down slide, as has Ohio State. Listen, let them share the wealth. Let somebody else get whooped on the major stage and embarrassed. They deserve it too, but we know how this goes. They want the biggest conference teams, or the most teams with the most notoriety, the most mobile fan bases, the people who will pay the most for those tickets.
Right.
And Notre Dame's football fan base is bigger than Cincinnati's. It's bigger than Coastal Carolina's. So that's just how it goes. So with that being said, no, Texas A&M did not deserve to get in off of anything, because their best win was against a good, not great team. And their one time playing a great team, they got run off the field. I don't care that they kept up for a half. That's not good enough. It's a 4-quarter game. You couldn't compete for the whole game. You don't deserve to be in when you play somebody good. Notre Dame didn't deserve to be in when they played somebody good. If, again, pass the beat downs around to other people, because I'm sure Bama and Clemson have enough to go around.
Okay.
Now, as far as this game,
I'm
going to stay spiteful and pick UNC.
Okay.
because I refuse
to
live in a world where Timothy T. Fisher is a very, very good coach. I refuse.
Okay, all right.
Nothing but spite. No logic, no stats of defense. Spite. That's what it is. Spite.
Okay. Petty. I appreciate that you're authentic with your petty. I mean, that's petty wop for sure. So like I'm with you. I appreciate the authenticity. Isaac, who you got here?
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M. All right, staying with the SEC. Caesar, who you got?
Yeah, Petty looks terrible on UB. What I would say about this game is yes, Jimbo should have won Coach of the Year. He did more with less, and he figured out a way to hide Kellen Mond all season long.
Did more with less. Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone is against you in this.
He did more with less. He hid Kellen Mond all year to a one-loss season.
Yeah, for sure.
He hid Kellen Mond all year.
The SEC Coach of the Year this year is who? Nicholas Saban.
Yep.
How has Nick Saban done a better coaching job than Jimbo Fisher this year? Explain that to me.
I either have to give credit to Nick Saban or credit to Timothy Fisher.
Yeah,
and you know how much you love.
We know how
how much you love to give Saban credit. So what you gonna do? Which one's gonna be?
Saban caught COVID. And Timothy Fisher did not.
Nick Saban caught COVID, so he deserves Coach of the Year.
Listen, this
is that what we're saying?
Petty. This is nothing but petty, and this is nothing but spite.
They won the game without him there coaching.
Well, if
the talent is just that good, he didn't even have to be there, and they still won.
Right? Is the live game the only important part for the coach? Is it not the preparation during the week?
Man, if you don't get that bull out of here,
are you telling me the coach should just?
I'm telling you, Alabama is a juggernaut. Nick Saban didn't coach them to that.
Right.
And I am agreeing.
As a matter of fact, I would give more credit to their offensive coordinator for how well they've played offensively than I would give to Nick Saban for a coaching job.
Right. Who won the Broyles Award.
However, you are forcing me to pick between Timothy Fisher and Nick Saban. This is not
Timothy wins in this.
This is pure spite.
Okay. So so we're not making a logic argument here. He's saying this is how he feels, right? Yeah, okay. So
we're gonna argue with a wall.
Yeah, we can move on.
UNC wins, and I look like I was on top of something because
all right.
What I will say,
Florida apparently does not want to win this game right now. I'm looking at the comments. Oklahoma just scored again. So
crazy.
What I will say to B's point is this is a dangerous game for A&M though. Because North Carolina, they have 2,000-yard rushers and a 3,000-yard passer.
But Texas A&M is one of the best rush defenses in the country.
Number 3, actually, which is my point. I feel like this is strength on strength. This is offense on defense. I'm gonna go with A&M in this game.
All right, there you go.
I'm gonna go with A&M.
All right, cool.
3 for Timothy and 1 against. All right.
Well, we got this next game is going to be kind of interesting. I don't think it'll be the most entertaining, but in terms of rankings, these are the most evenly matched teams, I feel like, in this slate. So we've got UGA versus Cincinnati. Georgia, kind of a Jekyll and Hyde team this year on offense, where they look like they may be falling apart, and then they pulled it together and had a decent season. Isaac, I'm gonna start with you on this one. Who do you like in this game?
I'm gonna go with Georgia just because I feel like JT Daniels has it figured out for them at quarterback, and that was really the biggest deficiency that they had on the team.
Right.
The defense has been up and down this year. I thought that they were going to be a defensive juggernaut just because they beat the snot out of us. And then they got embarrassed by Alabama. But
everyone gets embarrassed by Alabama.
I think from a talent standpoint, Georgia's just got more talent, and they're not going to be resting a bunch of people in this game. And again, they've got the quarterback position figured out. I'm going to go Georgia.
Georgia. All right, Caesar, who you got?
I got Georgia in this one. Cincy their strength is on defense. So Georgia's defense, I don't think has a lot to worry about against his offense. As long as they take care of the football. And JT Daniels has, for the most part, done that as he's been figuring out the position and squaring away that offense. So I'm going to go Georgia in this game.
Brian, who you got here?
This is where the talent differential is just going to take over. I know Cincinnati is well coached. Luke Fickell he was at Ohio State forever as a defensive coordinator and also as an interim coach for a year. So he knows what big talent looks like. He knows how to get defense to play. Since he has played that well, they've been consistent. But listen, man, Georgia has really been spurned this year because they didn't figure out the quarterback position until it was too late. But since they figured it out, they look like the team we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season.
Right.
And it's not the type of thing where they have to show, oh man, well, we got passed over for this spot when we were in the mix. So we kind of had the letdown. Like we say Auburn had that in 2017 and Georgia had it. And I think it was 2018 where we lost our bowl games after missing out on the championship conversation or whatever it was. This is not that. All right. I think they know that they have been somewhat disrespected. Not disrespected because you know that if you lose a certain number of games, you're out. But in this case, they found their mojo late, and I think they want to put it on display. And they're going to beat Cincinnati up and down that field, at least 2 touchdowns. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like 21 points.
I like Georgia, and I also like all the points you made about Georgia. So I'm just going to ditto that. I think the talent differential does take over in this game as well. And, you know, to repeat the point that Caesar made about Bennett, like, I'm sorry, TJ Daniels.
JT Daniels.
JT Daniels, right? Like, just kind of finding they found something at quarterback here late season. And it looked like it was going to be a little bit of a carousel there for the first, 4 or 5 games. But now that they've settled down, Cincy is kind of in this spot to me by default. We're having a weird year. I'm not sure their team is really this good. Georgia is clearly more talented. So I got Georgia in this one big. I think they can win this one by 21 or more, honestly. So I see a big win here. So that kind of cleans up the slate of whatever games, and now we're gonna dig into this playoff here. So the first game that we are going to talk about on the playoff list is going to be.
I don't know if I put both of them in there.
Yeah, number 4 Notre Dame versus number 1
Bama by 30. Next.
So Isaac thinks Bama's gonna win. What do you guys have?
This is going to be one of the few games I'm going to enjoy watching Bama beat the brakes off of somebody, because I really want to see them beat Notre Dame. I really do. I really want the people who put Notre Dame in here to be embarrassed that day. And I think Bama's a team to do it, and they're going to do it early and often.
So you got Bama here big. Okay. All right. So not a whole lot of dissent there. Brian, who you got?
Caesar, I wish there was a way for Alabama to beat Notre Dame out of that NBC contract. I have never seen a program live off the past to the extent that Notre Dame does. To their credit, they capitalized when they were at their biggest. And they got a really big deal out of it. It made them this college football darling that they haven't done anything with since what was it, like 1990, 91? Was that their last national championship? I'm not sure the exact date, so don't quote me on that. But listen, man,
Lou Holtz is going to wake up the next day with back issues. They're going to get beat that bad.
I would like to see it. I'm tired of them getting preferential treatment over Cincinnati. Cincinnati wants to lose by 34. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Bama big. Whether I don't know if it's 24 or 35.
No, it ain't 24. It's gonna be 24 at the half.
Listen, Bama could take the foot off the gas, maybe.
I just watched Clemson dismantle this team, and you're telling me Bama with 3 Heisman Trophy candidates and apparently the coach of the year is not about to embarrass Notre Dame? Get out of here.
Yeah,
I want it to be like 28-0 in the first quarter. That's what I want to see.
This is going to look like the national championship game when they played each other. This is going to look like that.
There's precedent for that. There's precedent for that because it was 28-0 or 24-0, I think, at the half of the 2012 national championship when they played each other. So I'm obviously going with Bama here.
It's going to be Bama playing the ghost of Manti Tate.
Oh man, Captain Catfish, right?
They're going to be playing Notre Dame on freshman level.
I feel strongly that I feel pretty strongly that there is not another team in the country that has consistently proved that they don't belong on the big stage more than Notre Dame. Every time they have gotten into a national title or
in the last
a playoff,
10 years, that's for sure.
Yeah, they are regularly getting their clock cleaned by better teams. And the fact that they got mollywopped so hard in that ACC title game by Clemson, just with the addition of Trevor Lawrence, because let's be clear, their biggest win of the season was against Clemson with a true freshman backup quarterback.
Who was at home.
And he had a game.
Overtime.
And he had a game. Right, and they barely squeaked that one out. So when you put in the Heisman contender, which is Trevor Lawrence, and they run you off the field on a neutral site, I don't know how the committee really had to look at Notre Dame and just said, well, we don't have anybody else, so why not?
They were looking at the price that they wanted to charge for those
but
tickets.
So I could understand if it were a thing where tickets mattered this year, right? Like they're not even able to sell as many tickets.
Right.
So
but it's eyeballs too, though. It's
TV.
It's great.
TV. Think about TV.
Fan base will watch
Who
more
wants to watch Notre Dame get beat down? I don't want to watch
Notre
this
Dame
game.
fans.
It's not interesting.
Notre Dame fans.
Yeah, right.
Oh, there are fans of teams all over the country that can watch their team get beat down.
That's not true. I want to watch them get beat down.
Right.
I only want to watch them get beat because they put them in the game, not because I enjoy watching Notre Dame play
the committee
football.
did get it right then.
So they got it right. Yeah.
No, they didn't. I could have watched Alabama beat anybody.
If we're trying to get views, let's put a sacrificial lamb. Notre Dame, put them up against Bama.
Oh man, I don't know. I'm actually with
I'd have rather watched Tulsa.
Yeah,
nobody will watch that game. Nobody.
I would. I'd watch that game for the first quarter. I'm going to watch this game for a quarter.
I would feel bad for Tulsa. I would.
I would like to see one of these like group of 5 teams that if there were any year where you're going to put one of those teams in.
Why not this year?
Why not this year? And then let them have a chance against a team like Bama. And even if they don't win, if they're competitive, they help set the stage for future teams belonging in the discussion. Right? Boise State has been one of those teams over the last 20 years. It's just been kind of on the cusp some seasons of breaking that playoff discussion. Utah almost did it before they joined the Pac-12. Right, there have been a couple of teams that have been on the cusp, and of all the years, you could have just given another team a shot and just sidelined Notre Dame and said, "Listen, we've seen this story before."
Listen, Ohio State low key doesn't deserve to be here either.
They don't either.
I agree. I agree.
They squeaked by because of the attention Notre Dame was getting.
Yeah, I get that, but not more than Notre Dame to me in my mind. Now, I dislike Notre Dame strongly. Right, I have a strong I've got an anti-Bama bias, but for some reason, when these two teams play, I root for Bama, and it hurts my Auburn heart to say that, but I do. So, I like Bama in this one. I honestly think that Bama might put Isaac earlier this season when not earlier, but in this season when Florida played LSU, you said that you thought that Florida would put 60 on LSU. Yes, and that's the same type of energy I have for Bama versus Notre Dame. I think they might actually put 60 on them because they're averaging like 50 points a game.
That's not even far-fetched.
It's not
they could have 60 at the half if they want to.
If they don't score 60, it's because they took the foot off the gas.
Yeah.
But, right, and they're just running the ball to run the clock out.
Probably.
I don't know that Nick Saban is a great sportsmanship coach, but I think that if he was making a statement,
might have another 5-touchdown game.
Yeah, I'm telling you, and if Jalen Waddle didn't get hurt earlier this season and he was playing this game,
and they're saying that he might come back for the national championship game because he's been practicing again.
Oh man, come on, dude! This is the mismatch of the century. This feels like Miami, Nebraska in 2001. Right? Does anybody remember that one? It was like 35-0 or something. They got beat. This one just feels like they're completely outmatched. And I don't like Notre Dame. I hope that they end up in football purgatory for the next 10 years, and we'll have to talk about them or their NBC TV contract. So, Now that I've gotten that out of the way, we're going to talk about the last playoff game, which is Ohio State versus Clemson. This has the makings of what might be something entertaining, possibly. Two really good quarterbacks. Ohio State, who knows?
Are we sure about that?
Yeah, I mean,
about there being two quarterbacks that are good in this
game?
Two
really good quarterbacks in this game.
I mean, listen, two talented quarterbacks. Let me rephrase that statement.
Okay.
Well, two talented quarterbacks in this one. Justin Fields versus Trevor Lawrence. Caesar, I'm gonna start with you on this one. Does Ohio State have a chance in this game?
I think they do. I just don't know if they can last 60 minutes with this team. And for them to beat Clemson, they're going to have to play well running on the ground as well as throwing in the air. And I think that's the problem, because Fields actually mentioned that he had an issue with his hand in the conference championship when he was throwing picks, and he hasn't looked solid consistently throughout the year. So that's a problem going against a Clemson defense with, if you give Venables time to prepare, he usually has a good game plan to slow you down.
Right.
So I like Clemson. I think Clemson wants to get back to try to redeem themselves for last year's loss. Mm-hmm. And I think they advance.
All right. Brian, who you got here?
Same thing that Jay said. I like Clemson, not only I think they've got motivation from losing last year. I think they've got motivation from losing Trevor for that game, because obviously they had revenge on their mind in that game. They're not unstoppable. Clemson's not. Like, they are prone to mistakes, but this the weird thing happens with Clemson. They play slow, they're playing in the mud, and then they make one mistake and they're like, oh no, that's it. And they like immediately they just go on a blitz, and then it's just nonstop from there. It was in the Notre Dame game. Lawrence threw a pick, and that was it. It just didn't stop after he threw that pick. They just kept wailing on him. So I don't know if Ohio State is good enough to take advantage of an early Clemson mistake. Like, can you drive and get some points and then take that mistake, turn into a 10-0 lead,
right,
and then hold on from there? Because Fields has looked shaky every time they play somebody big. Now they're saying it's his hand. Listen, man, you're Ohio State. You have more talent on your team than everybody that you play every year, far and above. There is no reason for you to look mediocre against anybody. Alabama has that talent advantage. They don't look mediocre against people because they have that talent advantage. Well-coached talent looks as extensively impressive as it actually is. Right. Ohio State, you shouldn't look shaky 2 to 3 times a year with that much talent on your team. I don't trust them. I don't trust Fields. He looks great against people who have no chance, and against people who do have a shot, he looks timid. They put him in the box a little bit. I don't trust him. I like Clemson by at least 10.
Ooh, okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead, and before I let Ike go, I'm just going to say that I think that Ohio State does have a chance in this game. I'm going Clemson, but I think that they have enough talent and they've got the right coach to make this interesting if they have a good day. So I am going Clemson by a field goal in this one. I think Ohio State can find a way to make this entertaining. Trevor Lawrence every once in a while lays an egg. Mm-hmm. He does. He can lay an egg from time to time. As dominant as Clemson can look, it just every once in a while against a talented team, Trevor Lawrence, and you guys know how I felt about Clemson in last year's title game. I thought that, they would get beat by at least 14. They did. Trevor Lawrence ended up being the only reason that they didn't get beat by much more.
Right.
And so, but yeah, I like LSU. I'm sorry, LSU. I'm still living in the past here. I like Clemson, but close. And I would not be surprised to see an upset in this game.
George Matthews had a comment about Elliott being out with COVID. Do you think that changes anything?
Yeah, you know what? I read about that. I'm glad he mentioned that. So I'm going to change my pick to Clemson by a field goal like Mike did. Because, that's significant. But if I'm not mistaken, somebody would have to correct me on this. I think Clemson has co-offensive coordinators. So that may have been in the past.
Right.
That was in the past. I think the guy who was the co-offensive, I think he's actually coaching another team now. Like he's actually got a head coaching job. So I don't know if they continued the co-offensive coordinator. I think Elliott became the OC official.
Right. Yeah, Jay Johnson made a comment about whether Clemson's secondary gets exposed again. And I think that's
not this game.
Yeah, I think it's a perfectly valid point. You know, if Justin Fields can find a way to have a good day, you know, one of his better days, you know, in this one, then you know, it could be this is how we see this being competitive. There's a chance Clemson could run Ohio State off the field because who knows what to make of them this year. We've barely seen them play 5 games.
Right.
And the Big Ten has been complete trash this year. So who knows?
Yeah.
But you know, I'm gonna go with Clemson in this one, in a tight one. Isaac, who do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to pick Clemson as well, just because, I think Ohio State has the talent to keep the game close, but I think Ryan Day actually might have fired Clemson up with some of his comments about like how, I don't know if you guys saw that when they got put into the playoff, he was basically saying that he doesn't care who his team has to play against. They can beat anybody in the country. And yeah, I don't think the Clemson kids are going to take too kindly to that. I'm going to pick Clemson.
Well, you barely beat Northwestern. You don't get your
right. So so you got Clemson here.
Yeah,
definitely. Well, we've reached that point in the program where we're going to talk about Auburn. Before we do, I want to get to some quick housekeeping notes. First of all, I want to say thank you to everybody who's watching right now. We crossed the 1,000 subscriber mark today. And it is a big thank you to you guys for continuing to join us and be a part of this active conversation that we're having about Auburn football every week. We're going to continue to bring you guys content. You can help us by clicking like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you can get notified when we're going live. We are the War Report on Twitter and Instagram, TW Report on TikTok. Gentlemen, Auburn versus Northwestern. Unranked Auburn versus number 14 Northwestern. We have a coach. He's not coaching. But the coaches that are coaching may not have a job after the game. So I have a lot of feelings. I want to hear your feelings. I want us to talk to each other and share and get it all off our chest. Right? How are we feeling? I'm leaving this open discussion. How are we feeling going into this game this week? Friday at noon, right? We got a New Year's Day at noon.
Is Tank playing or nah?
I heard something about him being in COVID protocols.
Yeah, possibly. So I saw that rumor, and I think I perpetuated that rumor, but I have not seen it substantiated. So as from all signs, Tank is still going to be playing in this game. We did have 3 players opt out, which were Flash opted out, Jamie and Sherwood opted out, and then Christian Tutt are all not playing in the game.
Now a little caveat to that. Tutt is reported to still be injured. So I don't know why even
injured all season. So
right. Sure, but I think that's probably a part of it as well.
Yeah,
Sherwood is kind of banged up too. So
Sherwood's one that I think we're going to miss on the back end of the defense, just because he's one of those enforcer energy like he is to that back end. I think what KJ Britt is to our linebacking core. He's just a solid presence that is an enforcer. I think we're going to miss that on the back end. I think the secondary is talented enough to be able to play without him. But man, I just don't know. Like I literally don't know what to predict in this game, because I've seen Chad Morris coach, and it wasn't so great when he was a head coach. Offensive coordinator wise, so far this season, he's just looked okay. I don't know how much of that was him not being able to do what he wanted to do with Gus there. Our head coach is technically going to be Kevin Steele, who has never been a great head coach. He's a good defensive coordinator, but he's going to be the guy calling the shots for the entire thing.
Does he coach this one from the booth, possibly?
No.
As the head coach, I don't think so. I think he's going to
he's
going to
be down the field.
That's just like, I just don't know what to expect from this team unless they are going to go out here and Tank's going to be fully healthy. It's going to be rough, man, just because Northwestern is not, they're not a scrub team, right? Like they're well coached. I still want to I want to pick us, like my Auburn heart wants to pick us, but I'm actually going to pick Northwestern to win this game.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I feel that.
I didn't think you was going to do it at all this year.
Yeah, I was going to say predictions for, a little closer to the end, but Isaac just went in and got it off his chest. He's Northwestern in this one. This is an interesting time to be alive. We had, what I will say is just a lot of just confusion around the program in general, right? Like, and to the extent that they did not kill coaching rumors, I think it helped create this circus that we're in here before the bowl game, right? Goose came out and made a statement that it was unfortunate there was so much misinformation. And I was thinking to myself, like, you could have solved a lot of that early and just came out and made a statement against, listen, man, just so that we're clear, nobody has a hand in this process but myself and Alan Green, period. We're picking the coach. Unless we've said that the person is a candidate, they're not a candidate. We had players get on Twitter talking about how Shivers came out and said, they want a puppet and they're making these statements and none of this is good going into a game when players are focused on things other than the game. So
let me interject here for just a second, like while we're on this topic, right? So I've watched Kevin Steele press conferences all season. Like I've watched him talk, and he is the most like lacking in charisma guy you will ever see in a press, like dry as hell. Right. The first press conference he had after Gus Malzahn was fired is the happiest I've ever seen him in a press conference. And so like, and it's and like if you go back. Right. When you go back and look at his demeanor, he almost felt as if it validated all of these rumors that he's been working behind the scenes to orchestrate this. Because it's almost like, yes, I finally got my way. And he just seemed so happy because he knew he was going to get the job. So like you don't see a person's demeanor change that drastically for no reason. And it just, to me, it just felt like there was this stirring undercurrent of crap that finally just spilled its way out into the forefront, and we got to watch it play out on Kevin Steele's face, right? And it was just weird to me.
Yeah, you know what? I think the blessing in all of this is with as much as came out, it actually gave Goose and Green an opportunity to take back the process. Yeah. Right now, we may not have gotten some of what were considered the sexier names on the list, but
I apologize if I just scared a bunch of people.
Just lost 500 subscribers. George Matthews, let me tell you, George, this is a no sunshine pump zone. We will pick against Auburn if we feel like they may not win. Like, I just don't think it's a significant whether they win or lose this game at this point, right? I don't want to say it's a meaningless game, but, and I'm not really going to say our program's falling apart if we lose this game. What's happened has happened. When we're going into Mississippi State, I told everybody, there's nothing they can do in this game that will change what happened the first 9 games to me. So it doesn't matter whether we win or lose it, right? We just need to get, I'd rather us win it, but if we got to get through it, and we need to get through to the other side, which is 2021 and next season, and figure out what we're going to do moving forward. So I'm going to go ahead and give my prediction in this one. The last time these two teams played, it was extremely entertaining. It was oh my goodness, it was one of the most entertaining bowl games. I think Chris Todd was our quarterback the last time we were that one. Yeah. He was
that game was awful. It ended like 4 times. It was just like, oh, it's over. No, it's not. It's over. So long, no, it's not.
And we got the win. But I'm gonna go with Auburn in this one. Close. Yeah, Northwestern is no scrub team. You guys know I picked against Auburn multiple times this season, so I wouldn't have a problem picking against them here. But maybe if we see good Bo, right? I saw a comment earlier that just said, who's developing Bo Nix, right? And the answer to that question is hopefully somebody else in 2021, right? Hopefully somebody that's not currently on staff, because it seems like nobody's known what to do with him the last 24 months we've had him. So, I would just like to see him close this out, and let's get to the quarterback competition that should be spring practice, in in 3 months. If we don't have a quarterback competition, there's nothing Bo can do in this game to me that will cement him as the starter going into the 2021 fall season. Nothing.
Right.
We've seen it. He has only been consistent at being inconsistent. Now, how much of that blame belongs to coaches is yet to be seen, because if Harsin is the guy that can get Bo where he needs to be, I'm all about it. Let's see it. Right? Like if Harsin can get him to play like a championship level quarterback, great. And listen, that could be the case, because this coaching staff did not have a good track record with freshman QBs.
Right.
Every good QB we've had has been a JUCO. Nick Marshall, Jarrett Stidham, Cam Newton. Everybody else has been borderline trash to borderline trash. Right. Bo Nix, I don't think he doesn't. He is probably one of the most talented ones out of the non-JUCO group. So I don't think he's a trash quarterback, but he clearly needs some hard coaching, because his fundamentals are very inconsistent. His how he found a way to overthrow Anthony Schwartz consistently, the fastest guy in college football, boggles the mind. And he's got questionable decision making at best in end of game scenarios. South Carolina was some of the worst I've ever seen. The situational awareness was negative 80 in that game. So that to me points to coaching, right? And to set it up for everybody, we were 4th and 12 or 4th and 9 from our own 12. There was 9 seconds left in the game. And we don't have any timeouts. So you either have to get a quick first down, because we all know the clock stops in college when you get a first down. There has to be at least 3 seconds, because you cannot get up and spike if there are not 3 seconds on the clock. We know that. The NCAA defined that, right? Or you have to throw the ball in the end zone. That's it. He ran around and ran the time off the clock. And I was like, okay, so he's going to throw the ball in the end zone now. It's probably not going to be great, but he'll give somebody a chance to make a play and win the game. And he tried to run it in and got tackled. It had no chance of making it. And I was so frustrated that the coach didn't set the scene for him before that play. Hey, listen, Bo, you either got to make a quick pass or you have to throw the ball in the end zone. Those are your only 2 options. Quick pass for a first down or throw the ball in the end zone. It's 4th down. We don't get another play. It's the end of the game, right? So I want to see competency, because that was incompetency on every single level. Coaching, quarterback, right? Even if the coach didn't tell him that, for a second-year quarterback, right, I expect him to know. I mean, they've got to be running these drills in practice. And I know that they didn't have a spring and fall practice was different. And I know that has somewhat of an effect on this. But he's a football player, man. Come on. Dude, I mean, I could have playing NCAA football on my Xbox. I could have set that up better than what we saw. So I'm going to get off my soapbox about it. But, in this game, nothing that Bo Nix can do that's going to change my mind about who needs to be the quarterback going into 2021. I want him to have a good game. I want him to be successful at Auburn. I do, if he's the guy, if he's truly coachable. And if Harsin can come in and get the most out of Bo Nix, it'll tell us everything we need to know about how Gus Malzahn coached this team. Yeah. If Harsin comes in and Bo Nix is suddenly, the greatest thing ever, like ESPN has been trying to make him since he beat Oregon first game of last season, great. I'm all about it. I have no bias in that way. I just want the best guy to be on the field, and I want us to have a chance to win. But if he is trash, I hope that our coach can move on from him quickly, and that we do not have to burn through another season, because if Harsin makes good decisions, he can win now, damn it. This is not a rebuild year, right? So use this game to evaluate. That's why I don't really care whether we win or we lose. Use this game to evaluate what we have and set yourself up for the spring. Get buy-in from guys. Find out who's in. Like, listen, if guys are going to transfer, they're going to transfer. Get the hell out of here. If you're going to transfer because there's a new coach, God be with you. I wish you the best, but just get out now so this guy can get his guys in there and start and know what he's going to start with. Here, it's a new coach. You didn't have any control over that. Let's go. I got Auburn in a tight one. Brian.
Boom.
I feel like you kind of held back a little bit, Mike.
Yeah. I hate
Bo Nix. Auburn in a tight one. All right. Man, you mentioned this. You said that I think Ike started. It's weird because the coaches who are coaching this game it's not like you're even coaching for your job. You could
right. You might be coaching to audition somewhere else.
Audition.
Right.
Right.
So that's the incentive. The incentive is you have to save face a little bit after this stuff came out that was negative about Steele and Coach Gardner on the rumor mill. We don't want to perpetuate it as fact, but so you need to show well and know that you're probably not going to have a job on this staff. So, you know, you are auditioning for your next job. Who has a chance to get retained from this? I'd say maybe Cadillac, maybe Travis Williams.
That seems to be the consensus too.
One or two. I take that back. One or two of the secondary coaches. We got two.
McGriff, Keith McGriff.
Yeah,
he's been.
The other guy, Marcus. What's his last name?
I would push for McGriff over the previous two. Like I like what he's done with our secondary.
I do too, but I think Travis has an advantage. He's a really good coordinator, and
recruiter.
Somebody. Yeah, excuse me. That's what I mean. I meant recruiter. You need somebody with roots, and Cadillac and Travis have those roots, and their positions have improved. Well, Travis has made the linebackers better since he became linebacker coach, but I hope that they get to show well in whatever way it gets seen. I don't know how much you attribute one coach's position group to an entire game. You know, that's rough, especially when your main guy was out all year. I mean, the linebackers have looked shaky this year, but they were shorthanded. So I hope
they had a couple of people opt out of the season, and then Britt got hurt.
Right.
So
and then
they were shorthanded.
So that's just what it ended up being. I want the people who have a chance to be retained to be retained. In particular, both secondary coaches. Please forgive me, I'm forgetting the other secondary coach's name. It's Marcus. I know his first name is Marcus. I don't know his
Pogue. Al Pogue.
Al's back there too, but it's another. He came from Memphis about 2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
I hope they get to stay. I don't know. I think our team will show very well because these coaches are going, hey, you're playing for you. You are playing for next season if you're still going to be here. You are playing for the NFL if you're not going to be here. Or if you're going to hit that transfer portal, you're playing for the next team. Either way, everybody has something to gain by showing really well. And I hope they show well for that reason. Tank not being there would be catastrophic because Notre Dame, and I caught an article by 24/7 Sports, Nathan King, and he was saying that he did where you interview the other team's beat writer, and the other team's beat writer was saying that Northwestern is down 2 defensive linemen, and they were actually shaky against the run anyway this year. So
they were good up until they played Ohio State, and Ohio State embarrassed them.
Right.
Well, they played a lot of bad teams until Ohio State as well. But
our
run game actually found something middle of the year. Then we lost some offensive linemen, but it didn't go when Tank was in there running the ball healthy. When he first came back, he was shaky. The last 2 games he played, he was looking good again. He was running the ball. He ran the ball well against Texas A&M, who we knew was a good defensive team against the run. If Tank is in the game, we can move the ball enough to protect Bo and win that game. If Tank is not in the game, has Shivers hit the transfer portal? Is that official?
He's going to hit it after the game. He's going to hit it after the game.
The question is he going to play this game? That's what you're asking, though, right?
He's going to play.
Okay, so if he's playing now that unfortunately we lost another running back to a transfer portal already. So listen, we're thin back there because DJ Williams was banged up all year. I don't know if he's healthy. So you're telling me Tank's out. Mark Anthony Richards is gone. So we got 1 running back so far. Thank God Shivers is still playing before he hits the trail. And maybe DJ Williams. We're looking shaky, man. We got 1.5 running backs as far as we know. And if Tank is in there, then I think we win close. If Tank is not in there, I think we lose this game. And maybe that's me waffling. Forgive me. If our best offensive player is not in the game, I think that makes a difference.
Yeah, that's not a waffle.
I mean, it does make a difference.
It makes
Pick somebody, though.
If Tank is, y'all can't make me pick.
I can make you pick because that's what we do on the show. Is we pick.
I'll show you how to do it.
I don't want this held against me. I'm assuming that Tank does not play and Northwestern gets the win.
All right, there we go. Northwestern.
Okay, Northwestern. All right.
Yeah, Northwestern. So you guys have said a lot. Here's my thing, and I've said this before. I've heard Harsin talk about getting the right people in here,
right,
to serve on staff.
Right.
If we're going to talk about the right people bringing in the right people to coach these kids moving forward, based off of things we've heard surrounding the program, that eliminates a couple of people right off the bat. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
If the coach feels that Travis Williams and Cadillac Williams fit the description of being the right people, I'm all there for it. I think we're going to have to trust our head coach to know who's a good fit and who isn't. And then we just have to play the waiting game. If those two don't make it, then I have to believe that somebody better is coming in that fits the culture that this coach is trying to build and will do just as, or if not a better job than what those guys have done.
Right.
Appreciate what those guys are because they're beloved. We know what they mean to the Auburn community and the Auburn family. So I'm hoping that Harsin can do a lot of good evaluations of the players as well as coaches. Who knows who we may retain? What I'm hoping to see out of this game is guys play like they actually care. Is really what I want to see. Because this game has an L written all over it when you consider the situation that we're in, right? But what I'm hoping is that Shivers plays like a man possessed, seeing as though this is his last game in an Auburn uniform. And I'm hoping that Tank actually compliments him in the backfield and he's cleared from COVID protocols. Because we need a good running game, because that's been the key to our offense this season is us having a strong running game, taking the pressure off of Bo Nix and allowing Bo Nix to get free on some of these read options. When he's able to do that and he's not having to make all plays with his arm, our offense tends to have more of a rhythm to it. It tends to flow better. And we've seen the last time Northwestern was out there, they got gashed to the tune of almost 400 yards by Ohio State. Now, I'm not saying we're Ohio State, but I am saying that when the stars aligned, we have a competent running game. Right. And I think that has to be the key to this Auburn victory. So I'm going to say that Auburn wins, but it's based on the assumption that we have a healthy Tank.
Right.
And that we're able to do what we need to up front to move the ball.
Who's gonna make up for the production we're gonna lose with Anthony Schwartz not being there at receiver?
I want to jump here on that one. Schwartz's opt-out is the most disappointing to me. And if you've listened to us this year, I have consistently said Anthony Schwartz helps open up our offense when we can find him, right? Give him the ball in space. When we can complete the deep ball to him. He is such a weapon and one of the most underutilized weapons in college football. He has literally world-class speed, and that is not an overstatement, right? It can't be overstated how fast he is. So, him deciding that he's not going to play in this one was really disappointing because he's been one of my favorite players to watch that just doesn't get the ball enough. So what I'm hoping happens is that we see Capers. Who's going to be the guy that steps up? Is it Capers, right? Who's going to step up here and get a chance? Because Schwartz just gave somebody a huge chance to audition for Coach Harsin.
Yeah.
A huge chance.
On Capers.
Right.
Kobe Hudson's been the other one that's been getting the playing time. Eli Stove is still going to, be out there. Stove just doesn't have the problem. You can't replace speed, right? You have other guys who can play receiver, but there's just not a take the top off guy like Anthony Schwartz.
Right. Well, depending on what kind of game Bo Nix has, it might not even matter. Let's just be clear. If he's not delivering the football to anybody, then there's a non-discussion, right? It's a non-starter. But I want to, in talking about circling back and coaching and talking about receivers and Schwartz, I think we can all agree of all the coaches that will definitely not get retained, Cody Burns is at the top of that list.
Somebody said that earlier.
I mean, yeah. There was a comment, I'm not watching the comments right now. Like, yeah, Burns is burned. He's done, kaput,
Yeah,
right, gone. And I like Cody. He's an Auburn guy. He's an Auburn guy, and I appreciate his contributions to Auburn. He caught a touchdown from Cam in the 2010 national title game.
Championship, yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, I love you, Cody, but you're not. These receivers aren't progressing under you. Right now, what have I said all season long? If you are standing still in our league, that's just as good as regression because other teams are passing you by. They're getting better. LSU had a 500 season, but you know what they did? They got better as the season went along, and they ended it on a high note, and they have something great to look forward to going into next year. They have two quarterbacks that they know can get the job done. They've got a bunch of guys coming off opting out over COVID, and they had a freshman receiver step up in their last game, and this dude went for 300 yards receiving. He set a record. It was incredible to watch. And if I'm an LSU fan, I'm looking at it, I'm thinking like, wow, like we didn't do great this season, but look how many dudes stepped up. And if everybody comes back next year, they're loaded, right? You know, they may not be what they were defensively last year in terms of, you know, national championship worthy defense, but their offense can look insane. Two quarterbacks that you know can get the job done. Brennan was leading the league in passing yards before he got hurt. And then you have Max Johnson come in off the bench and deliver the performance of a lifetime versus Florida. So I just think, where is that at Auburn? Where's the depth? Where's the development? Everybody seems to be able to reach too deep on their bench to pull a guy out who can get the job done. And after the one deep on our depth chart, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
You know, this was Malzahn's biggest shortcoming. So when I'm looking at receiver, I'm feeling the same way. Outside of Williams and Schwartz, I mean, I like Stove. You know, he's not an exciting guy. There's no way to replace Schwartz's type of speed, but he's a generally reliable receiver that will make catches in space and get to the first down marker. So I will give him that. But, you know, this is a good opportunity for us to see. I really am seeing this game, and I don't want to shirk the responsibility of I'm not saying that this game is meaningless. If you're watching this, I'm not saying that our predictions are just whatever, but I really feel like this game is more about evaluating what we have and evaluating the current state of the program going into spring ball. I really do believe that. That's what I'm watching this game for. The end score will mean absolutely nothing to me in this one. I just want to find out who we have past the one deep. And if these guys opting out gives us a chance to see that, then great. And I hope Bo has a good game, because that means that some of these receivers past the one deep are going to get a chance to showcase their talents. Mm-hmm. I don't want them to be stopped by that.
Right.
You know, and if there's another guy beyond Tank that can step in and do something, I want to see that guy. And I don't know that guy exists right now because Mark Anthony Richards entered the portal. You know, we got DJ Williams and Shivers, right? And I don't know who else is in that running back room. So it doesn't sound like, we're not going to see anything new there. But, you know, defensively, you know, we know what we have at defensive back. Sherwood's out to injury. Linebackers, there might be a chance for Travis Williams to audition some guys there. And then D-line took a major step back after losing Marlon Davidson and Derek Brown. So, you know, I just want to see who the next guy is. I want to win. I always want to win. But in the absence of a win, I just want to see some improvement, and I want to see a guy step up. And I'm not into moral victories and participation trophies by any stretch of the imagination. But this season is already a disaster. So what we can get out of this is we can get good evaluation out of this. And that's the problem with having coaches who may not be vested beyond January 1st, right? They want to win, but are they going to be vested in trying to evaluate and give guys opportunities and play the right guys? Like, I'm not so sure.
Right.
Right. They're going to be trying to do what's best for them and maybe not best for these kids.
Florida's getting beat down right now. Sorry.
Oh man, 31-13. So I feel that's my general feeling about the game, guys. Like I have some strong feelings about this season. If we lose this game, this will be a 6-5 season. Mm-hmm. Let that sink in for a second. 6-5. So I don't know. I don't know where to go with this. I mean, I don't know if you guys have any more thoughts about this one, but it's going to be.
I think what everybody has said is really what it comes down to is if we run the ball well, we're going to win the game. But I'm just not confident right now. Again, I don't know what to predict because I don't know what kind of game plan Chad Morris is going to come out with us for on offense against them. Hopefully he does that. He comes out and he's like, because that was basically you heard nuances of his philosophy. He talked about it against either Texas A&M or Mississippi State about how in the first half you're going to see run plays that go for 3 or 4 yards, break for 15, 20 yards in the second half if you just keep running it. If he keeps that kind of philosophy, that's good. If Tank Bigsby is playing, Northwestern, they've proven if they can't stop the run, they can't beat somebody. But yeah, I don't really know what to. That's the only reason I picked Northwestern, just because they have more stability going into this game than we do.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
For sure. Caesar and Brian, you guys have any closing thoughts about this one?
Nah, we've said it all.
Pretty much. I mean, again, like I said, I just want to see effort from these kids, and that's one of the things that worries me about these types of games under this previous coaching staff. When we get to the bowl season and we play a team that actually, I wouldn't say has comparable talent, but it's not a Memphis or a Purdue, and those teams actually care about the outcome of the game, we usually lose those games because we're not motivated. And I don't know what the disconnect is. And moving forward, I hope that changes with under Brian Harsin. I just wonder where the mentality is today and what it will be like on New Year's Day with this team.
Yeah,
right.
Are we going to play like we care?
It's going to be interesting to see the morale of some of the players,
right,
based upon like a lot of the tumult that's been happening around the program. But we will be there with you all on New Year's Day still, pregame, halftime, and postgame. We're going to do the full game day ceremony. So if you're new to the channel, that's what we do on game days. We have a pregame show, usually 10 a.m. prior to the game. We have the halftime show, and then we'll do a post-game wrap-up live. So you guys make sure you get back in here and tune in with us for it.
Yeah, definitely. The pregame, the halftime is usually fun depending on how it's going. I mean, that segment is for you guys. We'll be engaging with you all during that time. So again, big thank you to everybody who has liked and subscribed to us this season. It's meant a lot to us all personally, being able to engage with you. All 4 of us went to Auburn. If you know anything about Auburn, you know that it's all about community. And so being able to have that community with you all here means a lot to us. So as always, click like and subscribe. We are the War Report on Twitter and Instagram, TW Report on TikTok. Gentlemen, we'll be back at you guys Saturday morning. We have a 12 noon kick. I'm glad that we don't have to wait all day to see what this is going to be or is it going to be, right? I like that we're kind of getting out of the way. So we'll be at you guys at 10 a.m. on Central on the live and then again at halftime and post game. So we're signing off. And as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.